Hey everyone! Consider this video a short follow-up to my presentation, Signs of Time, that I uploaded on 2/27 this year. About an hour and 10 minutes in, I break down a video that NASA published on September 15th, 2016, that featured footage taken from Cassini back at the end of April that same year. Here's the slide from that video, and I explain the significance of the length of time between dates. From April 25th, the date footage began, to September 15th, the date it was uploaded, was a span of 144 days, that number that we strongly associate with time. What's especially significant is the span between dates when you traverse the calendar in the opposite direction. So from September 15th to the next April 25th is a span of 223 days, a number very significant. And NASA went so far as to say that the footage was 44 hours long in this clip. And if you remember 44's connection to 144, there it is in English ordinal. This phrase also has 223 and 2203 gematria. That's 4 days at Saturn. This is what they named the video on their webpage. So these dates between the 25th and the 27th all have significant gematria as well. While I wasn't studying reverse gematria much at the time, in ordinal gematria there's no 3 consecutive dates in the calendar that display numbers quite this Saturnian. And speaking of the word Saturnian, the other adjective associated with Saturn is Cronian, which we see here on their Wikipedia page. Conveniently, the word Cronian has gematria of 223 using the Jewish cipher. So anyway, here we are exactly 1 year later, and after this video was shot, and the night of April 25th, 2017, this Google Doodle for Cassini appears and remains on the page through April 26th. And what is this doodle telling us? It says that Cassini has begun diving between Saturn and its rings. Not only that, but the date that it will be crashing into Saturn is September 15th. That's the same day on the calendar that they published this goofy cartoon from the slide last year. So it isn't hard to see the logic behind this tribute. Now, one of the first articles that popped up after I clicked the Google Doodle was this article from The Telegraph. And I just want to mention this. Is anyone else just as sick and tired as I am of seeing articles that begin with "what you need to know" or "5 things you need to know about something"? Can we all agree by now that any article that begins like this is probably full of nothing but utter bullshit? Anyway, the way I see it, I called NASA out on what they were doing, and this is just proof that all of their fraudulent science is done by the numbers, and that most of our understanding of outer space is just Masonic make-believe. A phrase which I want to throw in the gematrinator here. You'll see that's 322 reverse ordinal, 74 full reduction. Pure coincidence, I assure you. Of course, there exists the possibility NASA is actually aware of my work. After all, it's not terribly difficult to imagine many of them watching YouTube all day, since constructing imaginary spaceships doesn't eat up a whole lot of time. So is it possible this is actually a nod to my video, Signs of Time? Well, normally, I'd be very hard-pressed to believe that. But do consider this. On April 7th this year, a date that could be written 4/7, think about how time equals 47 in addition to the 144 here in English ordinal. And on this date, 4/7, one of the most significant numbers to the occult, a song was released by Harry Styles called Sign of the Times. So let's put Sign of the Times in here. We see this has 74 reverse reduction. Remember, this date can also be written 7/4. Anyway, someone suggested to me that this that this song was titled as such to clog up search engines and make it so people would have to hunt down the list for my video. Of course, I had a pretty hard time believing that, but who knows? So I ran a couple of numbers. And how about this? The song was released on 4/7. My birthday, June 4th, happens to fall on a date with 47 numerology this year. I call this full numerology because this calculation method here gives you the highest of all possible numbers. And look here. From April 7th to my birthday this year is 1 month, 27 days, and that's June 4th written 6-4. Look what happens when I type Harry Styles into the calculator. I get a 127 reverse ordinal. Also note the 1274 in Jewish. That one's pretty interesting, but also 64 reverse reduction. Now, is this a coincidence? I know I say I don't really believe in those. For my own sake right now, I'll choose the less paranoid option and assume that it is. But is it?